Hello guys, and welcome to the next part of my video tutorial regarding the brand new wireless controller by Slick Revolution. So I would like to mention something right from the start. You do get a really useful manual with the remote and pretty much everything you need to know about setting up the remote. It's here, plain and simple, very easy to understand. The one thing that is missing here is an instruction on how to install the chip that does come with the remote. And remember, if you can find it, it's underneath the soft lining of the case. You also get some replacement screws. Now, what I wanted to test straight away is, can you actually use the new remote without the replacement of the chip? You require the chip so you can get more options on your remote. On the new remote there are extra bits that you get, which is the 3 speed settings, also 3 braking settings, forward and reverse. Also you get all sorts of readings on the LCD screen, which are the speedometer and actual real life speedometer. You can choose different wheels. Please remember, if you are using the smaller 83mm wheels, you have to change the setting on your remote. I'll show you later how to do it. However, if you are using the rough stuff wheels, which are the 110mm wheels, they are much larger. You need to do the setting as well on your remote, otherwise the speed will not be as accurate. It's exactly the same as if you would replace the wheels on your vehicle for a larger wheel, your speedometer will not be correct. So I thought that maybe we could use this remote if we don't want all these extra options with the chip that's already provided in the board. So in order to pair up your remote, what you've got to do is turn your remote on, wait for this beautiful LCD screen to engage, and then scroll through the options, speed modes, brake modes, until you hit the ready to pair. In order to activate the pairing, you push the wheel forward and now remote is pairing. At this point you turn your board on. The remote does pair up with your Flex E board or other Slick Revolution reboard without replacing the chip. Even the reverse button kind of works, but it doesn't really reverse your motors. The only thing it does, it actually slows your speed. So this is normal, this is reverse. So what it's just done is restricted the speed to 3 miles an hour, and that's exactly what it does when you actually change the chip. So it does reverse your wheels, but would not let you go high speed, so you won't hurt yourself. So that option works kind of, not really, but the normal operation, which is braking, there we go, and stopping, going stopping does work. Does not show you speed, but we knew that because you do require the chip in order to have the speedometer on. Yeah, so that is cool, that's a good touch. So if you guys just want to try the remote out and you don't really fancy taking the board apart, replacing the chip, you're not interested in all other functions, yeah, you can just enjoy a new style remote. So for people who want to enjoy all the options, all the new options of the new remote by Slick Revolution, you will require all of these tools to do the job. Sorry guys, I could not resist. You don't require all them tools. Apologies if you didn't find it funny. Well, I thought it was funny. Anyway, so realistically, the design of the board is genius. So even the task of replacing the chip in the motherboard only requires 2 things, which is a 3mm Allen key. For whatever reason, I could not use or cannot use the Allen key provided in the toolkit. it is too large, but it could be because I had one of the first boards and maybe the Allen keys, Allen bolts in my board a bit different. But it doesn't matter, I got tools, so why not? So in my scenario, 3mm Allen key, just like this, or could be 4mm in your case. Also a screwdriver. Guys, please ensure that you use a screwdriver that fits the screw head perfectly. So what you do is you take the screwdriver, Phillips one, you get it on the screw and make sure it doesn't slip, actually physically fits into the Phillips very nicely, because you don't want to be stripping that. It'll be very hard to get it out. It's possible, but very hard. So this is it. Maybe, and only maybe, we might need the needle nose pliers, but normally you don't. But if you do, I'll tell you why. So that's all we require. I will be using, however, a power operated screwdriver. You don't have to have one of them. I will be using that. If you guys do use power operated screwdriver, please ensure you go on the lowest torque so you don't snap the thread inside the battery pack and the control box, otherwise you'll be in trouble. So let's get on with it. Guys, for people who didn't know, Slick Revolution have got a video, a quick tutorial how to replace the chip on the website. It's under the support on the website. The type of removal or type of installation of the chip that I'm about to show you, this is what I want to do. It's different to what Rob shows on the website. I don't want to be taking the rear trucks off. I've got my shred lights installed, and I just don't want to mess around with trying to get all the way in all them tight spaces. So I've got my own way of doing this. So the board needs to be upright, like I'm showing you right now. I'll put a bit of rubber underneath the board so it doesn't slip, because it's in an angle. So what we're going to do is we need to carefully remove 4 screws, which are these 4 screws, in order to remove or loosen up this section of the battery pack. This section here does contain the brain of the board, and that's what we're going to do. Oh. In your case, you will be doing this. Loosen up and take the screw out. When you're taking the last screw out, please hold that section on the other side of the board with your fingers, just like that, so it does not just fall apart and go all over the show. So guys, the reason why I prefer doing it this way is because all the cables, there's a lot of cables in a harness right between the motors. You'll see a thick cable harness going into this box here. If you would do it other way around, having a board laying down, and you would pull the box up, all cables fall out and you will definitely disengage the power supplies to the motors. It's quite fiddly trying to get it all back together. Doing it this way, what we need to do is gently pull down on the controller box section, just like that, and you'll see it will start disengaging right here. Pull it back just slightly until the point where you expose the connector to the battery. Just pull them two apart, and that's it. It will go in exactly as it's supposed to be, because 2 contacts are shaped together. It can only go one way, so don't worry about it. Okay, so now you've got power disconnected and you've got your controller box loose and away from the board. Now you have the control box dangling down and resting on the motors, but all the cabling I was telling you about right at back here is actually intact, and it's exactly in the same position as it wants to be to go back in. so you got no danger of mixing up the cables or unplugging your motors. So now what you need to do is, you need to take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws right here. So let's take those screws out. Guys, just a tip, I do keep the containers after like Chinese food and stuff like that. I clean them up and I use them to store the parts. Little fiddly screws so they do not go wacky. So guys, all 6 screws are now out. What you do is you just take the cover off, just a plastic cover. Please pay attention, you will have a sticker, it's a seal, and it does say on it, the guarantee will be voided if the label is torn. So Slick Revolution, I really hope you will consider this, because we as the customers have to take this off and break the seal in order to replace the chip. So guys, what you can see now is the motherboard with the speed controllers and the rest. What you're interested in is this chip right here. It looks exactly like the new chip, so it's very hard to miss it. This chip right here is being held by 2 screws, here and here. So what you need to do is remove those screws, nice and careful. Okay, so it seems like the old original screws are different from the new ones, so I will need a new screwdriver, smaller one. Guys, please do not use wrong size screwdrivers on them screws, yeah? Spend a little time and find a screwdriver you require. As I said, for some reason the original screw is a bit smaller, the head of them is a bit smaller. What I've got is just a cheap watch repair kit. They sell them everywhere, they're about a couple of quid. So choose the screwdriver you need for the job. It'll take you much longer after trying to take the screws out if you strip the heads, so please do that. And I'll show you a little trick now using the small screwdrivers like this. So sometimes these little screws are quite tough to take out, and when you're trying to do it just by hand, you don't have enough grip in your fingers to do the job because the handle is very thin. So what I have found to be helpful is you position the screwdriver, making sure that the screwdriver is correct size. Then you take pliers, you grab onto the handle, apply pressure on the screwdriver so it does not spin out, and you loosen up the screw. As soon as you give it a couple of turns, it's then much easier to take out that little stubborn screw. Voila! Just wanted to mention, guys, if you find yourself in a position where the screw keeps on turning, but it's not coming out, it could be that this brass coupler here is spinning around, hence why the screw won't come out. So this is why I mentioned you might need your needle nose pliers. What you can do is you can grab onto that brass coupler, stop it from spinning, and then take the screw out. So guys, the next step is to carefully remove the original chip, and we do that by pulling on the chip upwards, wiggling it slightly, and that's it, off it goes. Don't yank it, don't force it, because it does have these pins here that are very fragile, will bend. There's no force required, there's no glue or anything on it. So just pull it right up, okay? Now you take your new chip, and it does have exactly the same pins, and what you do is push it back into the pins. It's very, very easy, and you know if you've done it correctly because the screw holes will line up. So let's put the screws back in. I have reinstated the screws on the new chip. That's my old chip. I will hold on to this. Next step is to put the cover back on. It's easy to remember how it goes back together because the part of the sticker on the cover will line up with the sticker on the main motherboard itself. So you line it up nicely and reinstate the 6 screws. The cover is reinstated. Now we're ready to put everything back together. Before you actually put the box back up, what you should do is check these cable connections right here. These are the motor power connections. Just make sure that they are pushed together and you do not see any golden parts of it, because they are just the golden banana connections. They just pull apart. So make sure they're all intact and everything is nice and connected. So when you make sure that everything is put together and cables all intact, what you do is just put the box closer to the battery, exactly as it was before. Reconnect the battery connector, which is very simple to do. Just push them together. Then what you need to do is very nice and slowly wiggle the connector back into the battery pack. There's a little slot there, so it does not interfere with the box going back together, just like that. And now, nice and careful, making sure that you are not jamming the main power and cable cord right there. You press the box back in place. As simple as that. Do not need to remove the trucks. Robert, sorry, it's not your way, but as you can see, it works just fine. So now next step is to reinstate the 4 screws. Guys, just a tip, when you put these screws back together, what you do is just catch them by hand first. Don't tighten up any particular screw all the way. Just catch the screws, all 4 of them, and then in crisscross rotation, like you would have done on your car wheel, tighten up the screws. You don't need to go mad. It needs to be tight enough, but you don't have to go mad. Normally the way I do it is when the Allen key is in, just with my finger, just like that, I pull on it up to the point where the Allen key starts kind of bending a little bit, and that's it, and I stop it right there. And one more good tip, while you're doing this, why not to check your other screws while you're there, your truck screws, and also don't forget your battery screws as well. Sometimes they do get loose, so while you're already at it, just give them once over. This way you know your board is nice and safe. So guys, and that's pretty much it. The chip is now installed. As you can see, it was quite easy. Next step, what we need to do is, strongly recommend, take the manual that came with the remote. If you don't have it or you don't understand it, if you guys are from other country or something like that, watch what I'm doing and listen and just repeat after me. Step number 1, we need to calibrate this remote. Okay, it's very advisable to do so, because this wheel here that controls your braking and your forward movement also got the neutral position. That's when you release it and the board should not brake or go forward. Sensors in this remote probably not calibrated, but there is an option to do so. So we need to make sure that this remote knows what all this movement actually mean. Okay, so let's just read straight from the manual. What we need to do is we need to turn the remote on. A beautiful LCD screen. Now tap on the power on and off button until you reach the menu that is called calibration. Okay, calibration. So now we are in a menu where we can calibrate this remote. Next step, we're going to push the control wheel forward, just like that. And as you can see, the max symbol is blinking. Keep on pushing the wheel forward, hold it there, and while you're holding it forward, what we do is we're going to tap on and off button once. And this, as you can see, sets the max setting. Now it's good. We now release the wheel, and now is the middle position of the wheel, and as you can see, middle tab is blinking. So we do exactly the same thing. Press once on the power, and now it's good. Next step, and the last step, we need to teach the remote what does it mean a wheel being right at the back. So we push it backwards, hold it backwards, press the power button once, and that's it, we're done. So just quickly mentioning, in order to finish this procedure, we tap on the power button twice, and you will see it says completed. Completed. Good to go. So now our forward, backwards and mid positions are calibrated. So while the remote's still on, what we do is we'll pair the remote to the board, because at the moment they are not friends, they don't know each other. So we will scroll the menu until we get to pairing. Sorry guys, this menu is quite long, which is good. We like our options, don't we? So, ready to pair. And zooming in, okay, ready to pair. Press the button, the wheel forward. Pairing. Turn the remote, the board on. And as you can see, completed. So now our board is paired up with the remote. Okay? So as you can see now, the speed is actually shown . Looks like I can now reach 25 to 26 miles an hour. Yeah, well, that's because the board doesn't have me standing on it. So, forward, dead man's trigger, braking, brilliant, reverse, brilliant. So, test your remote out for braking, for going forward. As you can see, it won't go forward because the dead man's trigger is not pressed. But as soon as you do that, that's a safety feature, the board goes. Brilliant. Guys, there are tons of other features in this remote. So just scroll through them and take a look. You got the speed mode, and speed mode you can adjust its speed 1, 2 and 3. Just scroll through all of them, play around, it's quite easy. Use the wheel to choose higher or lower braking mode. So I'll have it in the middle, test it out, see how it goes. Ready to pair, we don't need that, we already done that. Calibration, we don't need that. Wheel size, definitely make sure that you change the wheel size depending on what wheel you're using on your board. So either the 110 if you're using the rough stuff wheels, or the 83 if you're using the street wheels, or whatever other wheels you're using. Get it as close as possible. What else we got here? That's the voltage. So my battery right now in the board is at 23.6 volts, and the remote for it's 4.4. That's the model. Speed mode again, brake mode, pair, calibration, wheel size, unit. You can change this to either kilometers an hour. So my max speed right now will be 43 kilometers an hour because I am at the highest speed setting, or this is the equivalent to a 27 mile an hour. Up to you. So that's it really, and we're done. You now have a new remote from Slick Revolution. installed a new board, and all the options are actually functioning. The only thing I gotta do is, guys, I really have to get used to this trigger here. It's a bit different to what I'm used to, but we'll see. So guys, thank you very much for watching my video. We'll see, brand new remote or the old and trusted remote from Slick Revolution. Which one is better? Don't know. This old remote never let me down. Yes, it's a bit flimsier, as I mentioned before, but I really got used to it. Dead man's trigger, simple but reliable. Fancy LCD screen, very nice remote. The new one here, is it worth it? Don't know. I'm going to do full test videos on this remote, trying the speed modes and the braking modes. We'll try the charge. Hopefully it will never lock out on me or lock my board up, which was mentioned a couple of times already in our Slick Revolution Owners Club on Facebook. Hopefully it was one off, maybe not, don't know. But anyway, thank you very much for watching me, and please ride safely. Definitely wear your helmet. If you could, have the elbow protection, have the knee protection, or a jacket with a bit of armor in it. It's your bones, it's your skin. I don't know. I know it's complicated sometimes having all the gear with you, especially if you're using the board for traveling, commuting to work. But see you next time. Thumbs up if you liked the video, and subscribe if you want to see any more. But anyway, ride safe.